G'day hunters. Okay, we are back with our marksmanship review video. I've been deliberately waiting a week to give my feedback on the hunter changes because I assumed that after the first week there'd be some of the more obvious things done and then my feedback would be much more concise. As you can see, this is the brand new beta build that just came out today. With the pathfinding trailblazer been swapped around. We've also got some great new artwork for the sentinel talent here. We got the nice owly boy, quite cute. Yep, love that. And I've already done a reaction to the recent changes on this channel, and we just uploaded the feedback on the class tree. So I won't be talking about the class tree today. We've got another video on that. Go watch that. This is about the marksmanship tree. Now, the interesting point about the latest notes, there weren't any changes to marksmanship on the notes. So, there were only changes to this sentinel talent, which was wildly overtuned, and now it's been fixed. So, we are going to talk about the marksman tree. I'm going to get my notes out. I've done extensive notes. So, we're going to go through those, and we're going to discuss this tree. This is my feedback, and then I will make a forum post about it as well. Okay, I want to start by saying this tree is very good. Super happy with all the changes that they made. This is some of the points I think that could make it even better. So let's talk about that. Issue number one is the pathing here with lock and load. Okay, personally, the lock and load talent doesn't feel like a must pick, always pick. The proc rate is a little bit low, and we've got lots of things that are giving us more aim shots, more aim shot cooldown, more resets, and stuff like that. So lock and load just doesn't feel necessary. It feels so totally random, and I don't want it in every build. And right now, it's in a position where it's right under Master Marksman. You can't really go around it. So you have to pick it every time, and I don't really want it. So I would appreciate different pathing here. And it kind of is leading into an issue with all the talents around it, right? Serpent Stalker's Trickery is also in a bit of an awkward spot where I have to take it to get volley. And that doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense to go from Master Marksman, then through to sometimes pick talents. Like this is a very much a single target only kind of a talent, which is kind of good. Like it's a prio damage thing, like fine. And then over here to get volley. There are so many AoE talents in this whole tree that if I'm going for like mega AoE, these two talents I have to spend to get volley, which is like a big AoE thing, and it feels like I don't really necessarily want them. They're not going to be like a huge part of my damage, and there's other things I probably want, like I'd rather pick Bullseye than these two. I'd rather pick In the Rhythm potentially. I'd potentially rather pick yeah, Hydra's Bite. I don't know. The Hydra's Bite doesn't make sense because you'd need Serpent Stalkers to pick that. But yeah, there's some other stuff I would prefer than to pick these two for a pure AoE build that's going to want volley, right? And then if I want Killzone as well, I need to remove something else. So it's just so many AoE talents that perhaps there's too much AoE in this build, in this tree, and I have to give up a lot of single target to get them all, but also I have to get some things I don't necessarily always want. Yeah, I think this problem is kind of an anti-problem in that I would want this kind of prio damage in an AoE build if I wasn't just constantly missing out on other AoE talents. And so the fact that there's just so many AoE talents is kind of more the issue than having to pass through these prio damage talents to get more AoE. The goal feels like it should be less punishing on single target to pick up your AoE kit. And there's so much AoE kit that I'm even getting the feeling that I don't want these in my AoE build. And it's like, actually, I want more single target in my AoE build so that I can get my whole AoE kit without reducing my single target down to negative numbers. So perhaps we could have more hybrid type talents that do single target and AoE so that I'm not destroying my single target damage when I pick up all this AoE kit, because there's AoE everywhere. So yeah, that's kind of the pathing issue, and it sort of was brought to my attention here, but then it's kind of everywhere, like AoE talent, AoE talent, AoE talent, AoE, like the amount of AoE talents is kind of bonkers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Any more specifically AoE ones? And then we got Wailing Arrow, which is very good in AoE, but not necessarily just AoE. So yeah, feels kind of like AoE heavy, and very, very expensive to pick up your cleave. If you're going for, I want to deal boss damage, and there's some ads that spawn, you are taking a lot of points into your AoE because there's so many of them. Right. 3 points over here to pick up your kill shot talents. Feels rather expensive. I'm sure that, there'll be tier sets and stuff that maybe focus on kill shot at some point, and you'll pick up this and this and this. Razor Fragments, is it an AoE talent or is it a single target talent? Because it kind of does both, and maybe that's a better design than just having things that are just AoE like this. Volley feels like it should be maybe a bit more accessible than out here. I'd like to see it be in more builds, and I think it's going to be in fewer builds because it's out to the side. Focused aim kind of feels like a filler talent. Maybe volley should be here, because then that matches with small game hunter and salvo. That feels like it makes more sense that they're all together. So let's talk about small game hunter and salvo. I feel like there needs to be a rule instigated about talent trees, and that is this situation, right? If there are two talents next to each other that are buffing the same abilities, right? And one is gameplay and the other one is just numbers, right? So like you have these. You ask yourself, is there a situation where I don't want both all the time, right? Is there a situation where I just want one, or am I always going to take small game hunter and salvo together? If the answer is no, I want both of these all the time, then it's, do they need to be two separate talents? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but you ask yourself this. If it is no, I don't want both of these at the same time, I'm only going to want one sometimes, then which one should be accessible first? And I feel like in this situation, this is done incorrectly. I feel like I'm going to want salvo in some situations, but not small game hunter in some situations, right? So I feel like the gameplay of adding salvo to my kit should be possible without having to spend 2 talent points and massively go into a huge AoE talent here. Maybe I'm doing a boss where some ads spawn every minute, and on that minute I'm going to want to push volley with a salvo on it to blow up those ads. But I don't want to also invest in small game hunter to have a huge amount of AoE and be like, oh, I'm just padding on those ads now. They're already going to die from these abilities, and all my whole raid is swapping to them. So small game hunter should be at the bottom, and salvo should be here, so I can pick up salvo and use it, and the gameplay comes first, and the buffs come second. That's what I would like to see. One moment. So yeah, I tweeted this recently, and I'm going to say it again. The rule I would like to see is if there are 2 separate talents that are next to each other in a line and buff the same abilities, you ask, will I ever want one of these without the other? If the answer is no, then should this be just one talent? Not always, of course. And if the answer is yes, then which one should be accessible first? Volley and Kill Zone do this in the correct way, where I can pick up Volley for the gameplay aspect and then buff it if I want to double down. Salvo and Big Game Hunter should be this way round. I want to pick up the gameplay aspect of Salvo first and then double down. But this feels like I'm doubling down and then making the bet afterwards. And I would like this to be reversed. Boop, 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 boop. Reverse this, please. Okay, back up to my notes. Bullseye is a super powerful execute talent, but it has a ramp up time while it's stacking up, right? And I feel like in most content, something's going to hit 20% life, and then you're going to ramp up to 30 stacks, and then it's already going to be at 10% life before it dies there, right? So let's say I'm raiding and I'm doing a boss, and I look at the boss's health, and True Shot is going to come off cooldown in 30 seconds, and the boss is at 30% health, right? I'm going to, or my True Shot is ready. My True Shot is ready to cast. The boss is at 30% health. I know I'm going to get one more True Shot in. I'm going to wait to True Shot during execute to bullseye it, right? I'm going to pop that True Shot at 20% life. You know, when the boss is at 20% life. I'm going to stack it up faster probably because I'm True Shotting, but I'm not going to get the full value out of bullseye. If I wait until bullseye is stacked to 30% and then pop True Shot, I'm going to have more powerful True Shot, but the boss could be dead by then. Because I could be popping True Shot at 10% life instead of 20% life to get 30 stacks. So bullseye is like, it's really powerful, but it's a little bit clunky to like optimize. What I would like to see is the numbers reversed. I would like to see it's when your abilities damage a target below 30%, you gain 1%, stacking up to 20 times. So if that was 30% health, 20% crit, rather than 20% health, 30% crit. I think that this would be just a simpler talent to use, right? The boss is at 30% health. I'm already stacking bullseye up. It stacks up to 20%. It stacks faster. And my final true shot has 20% bonus critical strike chance. I think it would feel better. It would feel like a nerf, but it would feel better to use. So it's a tiny, tiny thing, but bullseye is a little bit too executey for me and too powerful because of that. And obviously the longer you're in a below 20% situation, the better it is. But yeah, maybe flip those numbers. I think it would feel better. Crack shot and improved steady shot. These are both kind of lame. And you have to get at least one of them. I think in like Mythic Plus, you don't want either of them. Like in AoE situations, you don't really want either of them. And so it's kind of feels bad. Yeah, not a huge fan of this. Maybe this could be rethought a little bit. Trick shots. Okay, let's talk about trick shots. Now, there's a whole discussion on whether multi-shot should be a talent or should be just baked in. I'm not going to have that discussion again. Everyone knows that it's a discussion. You can discuss that somewhere else. It's been done. Multi-shot, should it be baseline or should it be -1 talent point? You decide. I would like to have slightly more cleave available to me when I'm trying to do full single target damage, but you know, whatever. It's not a big deal, but the big deal is how trick shots functions. Trick shot should activate on pressing multi-shot. That is how it works with beast cleave. When you push multi-shot, you get beast cleave. Trick shot should work the same. When you push multi-shot, you should get trick shots. It is relying on hitting 3 targets can create really bad feeling situations. Often you will push this global, you'll push multi-shot, you've invested the focus into it, and you're not rewarded with trick shots. Maybe because one mob wasn't quite close enough, or it was stunned and it didn't come in like you thought it was going to, or you weren't hitting the target in the center of the group. You were hitting one off to the side because it's got more health, so you were hitting a prio target, but it wasn't in the middle of the pack, and so you didn't hit all 3 targets. It results in one of the worst feelings of playing Marksman, which is you've invested both the focus and the GCD into pushing multi-shot, and you're not rewarded for that. It is a total waste of a GCD and of your focus. Then you have to push multi-shot again, either on a different target or now later on, to get rewarded with trick shots and then be able to deal damage with your trick shots. And it just feels really bad. So please change trick shots to when you push multi-shot, your next aim shot or rapid fire ricochet. Hit the requirement to hit 3 or more targets with it. It feels bad in 2 target situations. It feels bad in some situations where you just accidentally miss it slightly. It feels bad in situations where like say you know a fight really well and you know the ads are spawning soon and you're going to turn around and nuke the ads when they spawn, right? Well, you can't pre-multi-shot to get your trick shots ready and then turn around and fire. You have to turn around, you've got no trick shots available, and you have to wait until the tank is like gripping them in and putting the mobs all together, then you multi-shot so that you get your trick shots buff, and then you deal damage. Whereas it would be so satisfying to like be hitting the boss, pew 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 pew. Like, let me show you what I mean. Like, no, I'm in the wrong place for that. It would be so satisfying to like multi-shot on the boss for like less damage, get trick shots buff, turn around, you see all the ads like running in, the tank's gonna try to like group them up, but then you just get to go poo, 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 and you get to misdirect that as well, so that doing this ricochet and AoEing those targets is a benefit to your damage and to the group. But waiting to then hit multi-shot to hope that you get trick shots, and if you don't multi-shot again, and then start dealing that, it just feels bad. Please change trick shots to when you cast multi-shot, your next blah blah blah. Please. Plus, it would give us some 2-target viability. It just feels awful to pull 2 targets and not have anything. It would also give heavy ammo more use cases on 2 targets so that you would constantly be doing that, and it would be a more useful talent. Please, 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 let's change trick shots to do it that way. That would feel amazing. Rapid fire barrage. Okay. This new thing. I get it. So it's kind of janky at the moment, but it feels a bit strange to target. I'll often push it and I don't hit what I expect to hit. I can't like spray it like barrage. Like it's not going to be this giant cone like barrage is, right? Because it works totally different. But you're used to pressing barrage and kind of like spraying everything in that area, in a huge area. Rapid fire barrage doesn't hit everything in a big area. It often only hits a few of the targets that you're hoping to hit because it just says 4 nearby enemies. And you don't really know what you're going to hit before you push it. So again, you're investing like a big 1-minute cooldown, and potentially it all goes horribly wrong. And you can't like change halfway through the channel. You can't like spin around so that it hits more targets like you can with barrage. Like when you hit barrage and you're facing the wrong way, you then spin around and go, oh yeah, I'll hit more stuff. This locks onto the targets at the beginning of the channel, and so there's no indication of how many things you're gonna hit before you push it and invest that 1-minute cooldown. So I'd like to see the targeting on it make a bit more sense. Maybe increase the range or the distance targets can be apart so that it shoots. It's target capped anyway, so that wouldn't really be an issue to have a larger spread on the barrage so that it hits things that are further apart from each other. Maybe it could even have like, I can see us getting weak auras that have like a counter on this that says how many targets it's going to hit before I push it so that I can optimize it. Maybe that could be built into the game. I don't know, but it is a bit odd to target it, and I'd like to see it be a bit more forgiving of a button to push so that I can consistently hit the targets that are in front of me and that I want to hit. Because it's a pretty big cooldown now. It's a 1-minute cooldown, and when I can see 4 to 5 targets in front of me and I invest this big button into it and only 2 rapid fires come out, it's a very feels bad moment. Also, can we only make it a 45-second cooldown so that I can pair it up with Death Chakram every time? That would be super poggers. I know Volley already does that, but maybe I want to take a non-Volley build and I want to do this. Yeah, please. Also, barrage and rapid fire barrage should grant a stack of trick shots, please. I think that would be amazing. Barrage on the BM tree gives Beast Cleave for 6 seconds. I would like to see this barrage give a stack of trick shots. It would be great. You would maybe not take this button, and sometimes you would spin around, barrage a bunch of stuff, you'd get a trick shots, you'd shoot your trick shots off, boom, and that's that AoE section taken care of. And then you don't have to invest this talent as well. So could we get barrage grant a stack of trick shots, please? That would be amazing. Eagle Talon's True Focus. Does this need to be a talent, or can it just be baked into True Shot right now? Again, it's the rule I was mentioning earlier. They're in the right order. This is the gameplay, and this is the double down. But should just be one talent? I don't know. I don't know when there's a point where like you don't use this. Like True Shot doesn't really function without this. So it feels a little bit odd that it's basically 2 talents. In fact, 4 talents for True Shot is maybe one too many, in my opinion. I don't know. That's my thought on that. Okay. Multi-shot costing a talent point is still slightly disappointing. Look, this is a big discussion. It's basically -1 talent point because unless it's like pure single target, and then you're not going to take multi-shot. Anything where there is a boss where single target is the most important thing, but there's a little bit of cleave to do, you have to take this and this, unless you had the situation where you're just going to take volley salvo, maybe salvo's here, or barrage gives you trick shots, because otherwise there's just like -1 talent point, which is kind of feels bad, to be honest. And that's kind of it. So I'm pretty happy. Those are really the only points that I have. I'm going to summarize this, and I'm going to write it on the forums, and I'm going to link that forum post in the description of all these videos. I need to remind myself to do that, but that is the plan. So that is my review for Marksman Shop. I'm going to go quick TLDR on it right now. We're going to speed run the video. Here we go. Lock and load pathing feels weird to invest into this and Serpent Stalker's Trickery just to get volley, because there's so many AoE talents in this whole thing that going for an AoE build, I don't really want to get this. That is a symptom of there's too many AoE talents, and I would like our AoE kit to be a little bit more concise so that I'm not punished as much for taking single target talents in an AoE build, and I feel like my single target is still quite decent while I'm doing an AoE build. That's what I would like to see. So I'd actually like more of this rather than less, because there's less of just stuff, AoE stuff flipping everywhere. There's like 12 AoE talents. It's kind of crazy. 3-point investment into kill shot. A little bit much. Maybe this could be just 2 talents. I don't know. Crack shot and improved steady shot. Both are pretty lame and feel bad. Maybe this is like a pretty feels bad area to have to do. Trick shots. Please activate trick shots on pushing multi-shot, whether it hits 3 targets or not. Please make it more like Beast Cleave so that it is way more useful. Feels better to push, and I never want that situation of there's 2 situations. There's waiting for the mobs to group up before I can push a GCD just to activate some AoE and then AoE. So I'm waiting, then prepping with a GCD, then damaging. I don't want to have to do that. It sucks. And the second feels bad moment is pushing multi-shot and not even getting trick shots because it only hit 2 targets. Because one target got stunned and didn't run in the pack or whatever that situation is. It can feel so bad to use. Please activate multi-shot on cast. Fan the hammer and careful aim should swap places. Just makes way more sense to be like rapid fire, 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 and have careful aim off to the side, rather than have to pass through careful aim. This is kind of niche. Like, it's only good sometimes. I want it often in the sometimes place, please. Rapid fire barrage targeting needs to be relooked at, please. It feels really bad to look at 4 targets and push the button and it only hit 2. Eagle's talent focus, should that just be baked into True Shot, please? And therefore, I just have 2 options here instead of 3. Salvo and Small Game Hunter need to be flipped upside down, please, so that I can gain this functionality and then double down with numbers first, much like Volley and Killzone do it correctly. Multi-shot costing a talent, still disappointing. Okay, GG's, thank you for listening to my marksmanship video. Hopefully I will get this up soon, and then I will get the forum posts out and I will link them in the description, and we will see some marksman changes on the next beta build in 7 days time. Fingers crossed that happens. Marksman, finally Symphonic Arsenal's fixed, and we can be quite happy about it. GG's, thank you for listening, good luck, have fun. See ya.